Geezers, we're getting 2 new cards in Marvel Snap today. They're both going into Series 5, and I'm incredibly excited for both of them. I want both of them. I only have 6,000 tokens. I'm going to have to pick. Let's crack on with Darkhawk. We're going to be looking at the cards themselves, the best and key combo cards, and I've built 2 decks for both of them. Deck building, of course, a huge passion of mine. I love to get rank 100 every season with decks that I've built myself that are off meta, so I am very confident that these are going to be some of the best decks you will find for these. But of course, when I test them, I'm sure we'll be tweaking a few things here and there. Darkhawk is ongoing, +2 power for each card in your opponent's deck. It's 4 energy and 1 stat. Remember, in Marvel Snap, we want to be getting about double our energy cost in terms of points. So about 8 points or above is what we're looking for at least. For example, you've got Jessica Jones and Crossbones, which are both 8 points for 4 energy, and you've got Rescue, which is 9 points for 4 energy. In a game of Marvel Snap, if there's no card draw locations or anything like that, then you end the game with 3 cards in your deck. What that means is by default, Darkhawk is playing for 7 stats. Of course, though, there's a lot of card draw locations, so we are going to be wanting to add cards into our opponent's deck. So if we can just add 1 card into our opponent's deck, it's already playing for 9 stats for 4. I do think this card is really good. I actually have a feeling it might be a little bit OP. Let's look at the key combo cards. Mystique is going to be copying the ongoing ability of the last card you played, of course. Darkhawk is ongoing, so Mystique is going to copy that. Mystique is best when you're copying ongoing abilities of cards with low power and high energy. Iron Man being the key example, 5 energy, 0 cost. And to be fair to Darkhawk, 4 energy, 1 cost. You're paying the same card, but for 1 energy less and 1 point less, which is very good. Remember, 1 energy equals roughly 2 points. So Mystique looking really great, especially if we want to go all in. We don't just have all our points and all our payoff in one location. Mystique is going to mean that we can play our payoff in 2 different locations, which of course is how you win a game of Marvel Snap. Korg is shuffling a rock into our opponent's deck. This rock can go into their hand and stop them drawing a card, but also that's +2 points on each Darkhawk. I think this is an amazing card already in its own right. Has just been edged by cards like Iceman, for example, but in this deck, Korg is looking very, very sweet indeed. The big daddy himself, Rockslide, finally makes sense in a deck in Marvel Snap. He's going to be shuffling 2 rocks into your opponent's deck, +2 points on each of those rocks for Darkhawk. So Rockslide is 4 extra points on Darkhawk. We have Black Widow. She's adding a Widow's Bite to your opponent's hand. Widow's Bite is a 0/0 card, which while in your hand, cards in your deck cannot be drawn. So she's stopping your opponent from drawing a card for 1 turn, which of course, if they're not drawing a card for 1 turn, that means an extra card in their deck, which is +2 points onto your Darkhawk. But also it's big disruption. Rather than potentially drawing rocks, you're stopping them from drawing entirely, which is really very nice. Wong in here because a lot of the cards like the Rock Slide and Korg are on reveal, so this is going to be doubling down on those abilities. Rock Slide into Wong is going to put 4 rocks into your opponent's deck. That's 8 stats on Darkhawk. Odin is going to be activating the on-reveal abilities of things like Korg, Rock Slide, so very, very nice there. We have Wave because there's a filthy, filthy combo you can do. So let's say hypothetically we play Korg on turn 1. On turn 2 we play Black Widow into the same location. Wave also into the same location. She's going to set the cost of everything to 4, which means on turn 4 we can play Odin again into the same location. So our location is going to be full. But what happens is we put another rock in with Korg. That's not too important. Just thought it was worth mentioning that could be a possibility. The key thing is the Black Widow. The Black Widow is going to repeat her on-reveal ability, meaning your opponent gets a Widow's Bite in hand. And then Wave is also going to repeat her on-reveal ability, which means the cost of everything is going to be 4. What that means is on turn 5, your opponent has a dilemma. They have a hand where everything costs 4, and that includes a Widow's Bite. So they can either play the Widow's Bite to draw a card on turn 6, or more likely they're going to play a card from their hand, meaning that they will still have the Widow's Bite in hand on turn 6, meaning that they're not going to be able to draw a card again. So your Odin onto Black Widow and Wave is completely filthy because it stops them drawing a card for 2 turns, which is 4 points on your Darkhawk, but moreover, that just means they're really running out of cards. And then imagine they finally draw that card on turn 6, and it's a rock! Like, it just sounds so filthy. It's unbelievable. We also have America Chavez. She is certainly a key card. my favorite card in the whole bloody game. She is just improving the consistency of our deck significantly. We're not playing America Chavez to actually play her. We're just playing her because we want these cards early. We want the Korgs, the Rockside, the Mystiques, the Darkhawk. All these cards are very combo heavy, and therefore Chavez is kind of turning our deck for the first 5 turns into an 11 card deck, improving the consistency of it. So she's in both the decks. We have Storm Darkhawk first. Storm makes sense because Darkhawk is a 4 energy card. You play Storm on turn 3 to flood the location, meaning turn 4 is the last turn you can play a card there. Darkhawk then, a big statted card, is going to help you win that lane. But also you might just want to storm that lane and then win it later on with something like Doctor Doom. You've got Wong with Doctor Doom, so you're going to get 2 Doom bots in there. Also, we've got Psylocke in this deck, which means we might be able to play Wong early or Odin early or Doctor Doom early. So we could, let's say, Wave on 3, we could Doom on 4, and then Odin the Doom, right? We've got the ramp cards, which means you can use Odin onto Doctor Doom to help you win that Storm lane, and then you might want to go Darkhawk elsewhere. Don't forget as well, you can Mystique the Wong lane as well. Probably not going to be ideal, but in this deck it could make sense. You can Wong, Mystique, and then Doctor Doom, for example. So lots of combos in this one to win the Storm lane, but I do think I just prefer the all-in version, which is this one. Very, very similar looking. We also have Psylocke in this one for a similar reason, for a little bit of ramp. Mainly just being able to play Wong on turn 4. Psylocke and Beast are the 2 cards that I'm not convinced by in this deck, but I want to test them out. Beast is returning every card at that location to your hand and reducing its cost by 1. So just being able to return Korg and Black Widow and then play them again next turn for Korg for nothing and Black Widow for 1 does seem pretty nice. So yeah, they're the 2 Darkhawk decks. Also Dr. Octopus, because we're clogging our opponent's hand with this with the Widow's Bite, right? They're just not drawing much. They're going to have rocks, and then Dr. Octopus is just removing their hand. He just feels like he's going to be a really toxic addition. I love the sound of this deck. This is the deck I really, really want to play. It's just pure evil. Man, I'm excited. I'm not excited to play against it, but sheesh. I think you guys can probably see why this deck is making my fingers tingle a little bit. I'm excited. All right, the Sentry up next. I'm not going to lie, this card I'm really excited for too. This is the card I was most looking forward to, but after building the decks, it's actually the Darkhawk I'm more excited for. But the Sentry looks amazing to me. You cannot play the Sentry at the right location. That's already very interesting. So you can only play it to the left or to the middle. And on reveal, you're adding a -8 power Void to the right location. This is the Void. It says Void in the card text, but it says the Void on the card. Hello again is the card text. No ability. You know you're not going to be playing this in a Patriot deck. That's not going to be very good. We're going to want to try and put the Void on our opponent's side, or there's some other things we can do. So let's just evaluate the card on its own. The Sentry, 4 stats. 8 stats for 4. Again, that's what we want. That's similar to Crossbones. That is similar to Jessica Jones. So why then would we play this card? Isn't it just worse than Jessica Jones? I can't play it in the right location, for example, and also... yeah, why would I want to play this? Well, we want to make use of the Void, and there's a couple of key ways we can do that. Well, let's first mention Storm. Storm is an obvious combo card with the Sentry because you can play it into your Storm lane. Unlike JJ, though, you're still going to be able to do something like Iron Man the Sentry on turn number 5. It's just a little bit more flexible in that sense, but of course has the big downside of having the Void. But if we can turn the Void into an upside, then this is just going to be a lot better than Jessica Jones in certain decks. And this is where the Viper comes in, or just Viper, I beg your pardon. It's a 2 energy card for 3 stats, and this is the key card to enable Sentry. On reveal, your opponent gains control of one of your other cards at this location. So we're going to want to keep the right location completely empty. Then on turn 4, we're going to play the Sentry, which is going to spawn the Void into the right-hand lane. And then on turn 5, we play Viper and a 3-cost card, hopefully, as well. And yeah, that's going to put the... what's it called? The Void on your opponent's side of the board. There is a problem with this, however, which is that if your opponent sees this coming, they can fill their right-hand location and stop you Vipering the Void into it, which is going to be a problem. However, if you do pull this off, it's quite incredible how many points it is. You're clogging a spot on their side of the board, and it's like a Hobgoblin, right? But much cheaper, and you also get the 8 points of the Sentry. So if you pull this combo off, it is busted insanely good. Nuts. Completely nuts. But it is very easy counterable. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, Spess, why don't you play Juggernaut and Viper on turn 5? Juggernaut's 3 costs. That's a great idea, but in practice it's not going to work. Let's say we have the Void down at the right side. And then I play my Juggernaut first, because I need to play Juggernaut first to move my opponent's cards away in time for the Viper. That means the Viper is then just going to be a 50-50 on hitting Juggernaut or the Void onto your opponent's side. So Juggernaut's not working, right? And then if you go the Viper first and then Juggernaut, well, your Viper hits the Void while their lane's still full, and then your Juggernaut moves the cards away. So Juggernaut, not the combo. It is just you're gonna have to accept it's easily counterable. One card you could consider is Goose, but again, Goose is blocking. It doesn't work. You need the lane empty. You just have to maybe hope that your opponent doesn't have any enough cards to play. So maybe you even want to consider playing the Viper in like some kind of clog deck, right? Trying to clog your opponent so that they don't have many cards to play. That could be an idea. Something like Spider-Man isn't going to work either, because you need to play the Sentry on turn 4. Zero is another combo card with the Sentry. You just remove its ability. If you don't want that, the Void, then you can just play Zero into the Sentry. So that's going to be a key card that's in all of our decks. And here we go. The Sentry deck, this is the main one. It's a bit weird. It is a bit weird. Viper is the key card, pretty much, you know, like working with the Sentry. So let's look at the other Viper combos. You can Viper the Hood to give your opponent a -2 point card. You can also do a really cool combo, which is on turn 3. You play Ebony Maw and Viper into the same lane. Ebony Maw cannot be played after turn 3, and it blocks cards being played on your side of the board at its location. It's an ongoing ability. But if you go Viper and Ebony Maw in the same turn, you can play them both, and it's going to put Ebony Maw on your opponent's side of the board, locking them out of that location, which is pretty damn interesting. Of course, if you do Viper Ebony Maw or the Hood, that does mean that you cannot Viper Sentry, which is why Zero is going to be a really nice addition. Again, we've got Storm, we have Juggernaut to try and win that lane. We also have Lizard and Maximus, which are other nice cards into this. Chavez also in this deck, just to improve the consistency of drawing the combos, like Viper into Ebony Maw, Viper into Sentry, Storm on turn 3, Juggernaut on 4. And Heimdall is the random inclusion, which is going to surprise a lot of you. Why Heimdall? Well, Heimdall is pretty interesting with the Sentry, because what we could do is we could Heimdall the Void card, for example, into the middle lane. Out of nowhere, we move all our cards. They might just give up on the right, thinking, oh, they're not committing to the right. And then bang, we put our -8 points in the middle. We put our cards in the middle to the left, bumping them into the Storm lane, perhaps. Something like that could be an idea. Also, you can just Heimdall your cards into your Storm lane. You can Heimdall your Lizard away. You can Heimdall your cards into your Ebony Maw. It's just an interesting idea, which looks pretty fun. Now, the next deck is going to be the better of the two, but it does require a pool 5 card to pull it off, and that's going to be Valkyrie. My favorite pool 5 card that I've used so far. I'm very addicted to playing this card. She hasn't been the best, but I do think the Sentry improves the Valkyrie control deck somewhat. She's setting all cards at her location to 3 power. What that means is we can play Storm to win a location, and then we can play the Sentry in the Storm lane to win the Storm lane, and then on turn 5 we're still going to have the -8 point Void. You might also want to try adding Viper to this one. I don't think you do, though, to be honest. I think you just want to do without it. But what you can do is you can just Valkyrie the Void, and it's just going to get set to 3 power. Moreover, one thing that Valkyrie decks really struggle with, it's very important that you go into turn 6 when you play Valkyrie and your 1-cost card, which is going to usually be Titania or Demon from the Hood. You need your opponent to be going first. You need them to have initiative, and initiative is decided by whoever's winning the game at that stage. You're going to be winning the Storm lane, and that means this -8 points is making it very likely you're going to be losing the lane on the far right, and then you just don't really care about the lane in the middle in this situation, right? If we storm the far left, that is, of course. So actually the -8 is pretty significant because it's helping give your opponent initiative. So then you can Valkyrie, play a 1-drop, which is going to set all their cards to 3, all your cards to 3, but then you play the 1-drop after Valkyrie, as long as you've got 4 cards in that location, which is why we play Wasp and Yellow Jacket. So you go on the final turn, for example, you've got the Void, and you play Yellow Jacket, Valkyrie, Titania, or Yellow Jacket, Valkyrie, Demon. It's going to set everything in the lane to 3, then the Demon comes through at the end, which means you're going to win the location by 3 points. Do bear in mind, ongoing cards do counter Valkyrie, so she's not going to reset things like Dinosaur, Ant-Man, things like Patriot and Blue Marvel can really disrupt this deck as well. But yeah, this is the exact deck that I've been playing. The one change is armor out for Sentry. Now, I will admit, I don't like the idea of taking out armor because you're going to lose a lot of the time to Killmonger and your Sunspot. So it's possible you end up taking out the Yellow Jacket for armor if you're getting Killmongered a lot. I do think all the other cards are crucial. The idea of this deck is Valkyrie secures one lane on her own, but you need a way to win another lane, and Storm is one definite way of doing that, and then the other way is things like Daredevil into Spider-Man or Professor X on turn 5. So the Sentry seems like a very, very interesting addition to this deck, because also you can Sentry a lane that's not your Storm lane, and then Professor X or Spider-Man it on turn 5, and then Valkyrie the right lane. So I do think the Sentry looks very, very nice in this deck. Combos well with Storm, it combos well with Professor X and Spider-Man, and it combos with Valkyrie as well, because actually getting that extra body is a pretty big deal. One problem you can have with Valkyrie decks is that you don't have 4 cards in her location, and your opponent's also probably unlikely to think that you're committing to that lane, so they're not going to commit as many resources, and bang, that -8 gets turned to +3, as well as all of their cards being set to 3. So if they've got a Destroyer in in their lane, a Chavez, that gets set to 3. It's going to be quite incredible. So that is the video. I do hope you guys enjoyed this full in-depth breakdown of the new cards. Darkhawk, the Sentry, the Void. I'm very, very excited for these two. Two of my favorite cards, I think, that I've seen so far. I'm really excited to try them out. I think Darkhawk looks particularly strong, as much as I love the look of Sentry and it improves the deck that I like the most. I don't think it improves it dramatically. It's just going to be a nice addition to it, whereas Darkhawk is like a whole new archetype. It is enabling with a flipping rock slide, mate. If you guys enjoyed the video and watched it this far, please do like and comment down below. Giga Rock Slide! That's the key word, so I know you've watched to the end. I appreciate you. If you watch as well and you've not checked me out on Twitch, I'm streaming every day at about 9 AM UK time, apart from Thursdays. Sweet geezers, deuces.